Seishu Handed is a professional calligraphy artist. He spends days doing just his art as this is his passion. One day he is presenting his calligraphy in a special exhibition when an older curator sees his work. The old man harshly criticizes Seishu's calligraphy, calling it traditional and soulless. This angers Seishu and he loses control, attacking the old curator, punching him straight in the jaw. Because of this scandal, he is sent to a small island near Kyushu. There is a small village there and Seishu lives there to improve his craft and learn more. While he is being driven to the village, he sees vast fields and the ocean. Realizing that this village is in the middle of nowhere, Seishu also sees the ocean and isn't even a little bit impressed with its beauty, fearing that he has lost his ability to recognize true art. When he comes to the village, he is awaited by the village chief, who greets him with a big smile. Seishu is confused by how small and traditional the whole village is. The chief brings him to his new home, but when Seishu tries to open the door, he can't because it's an older house. With the chief's help, the two enter the house and there they are greeted by Naru, the town's rascal. She is a small girl that likes to have fun and annoys Seishu right from the start. Later in the day, Seishu tries to focus on his work, but he still has a lot of unpacking to do. When he goes to make some tea, he sees the chief and Naru are still in his house having snacks. He throws them out and tries to continue his work, but Naru shows up again. She annoys him and he storms out of the house. Later, while looking out at the ocean, Seishu remembers how much he shamed his family back home and doesn't understand why his calligraphy is not good enough. Then Naru shows up and apologizes, showing that she also tried calligraphy. The two connect more and even have some fun in the ocean. Later on, the villagers come all around to help Handa unpack. He starts to realize the reason his father sent him to this small village. Seishu has been in the village for over a week and has not stopped working. He desperately wants to improve his art, but he just isn't satisfied with any of his projects. Meanwhile, the chief's son Hiroshi is awakened by his dad and his mom. They want him to bring some of his mom's cooking to Seishu as he has been working non-stop. Hiroshi is a lazy student and he does most things with zero enthusiasm. However, his parents order him to deliver the food. Seishu is visited by Naru and her friends from middle school, called Tamako and Miwa. Miwa and Naru reveal that Tamako wants to draw manga, which surprises Seishu. They all begin making fun of Seishu and tell him that his home was their hideout until he moved in. Seishu shows them a restaurant sign he has been working on, and the girls give him advice on how to improve it. Later in the day, Hiroshi comes to his house and knocks to bring him the food. Suddenly, the doors open and Seishu falls out of the apartment totally tired from work. Naru then shows Hiroshi all the work that Seishu has been doing, and Hiroshi is shocked by the amount of detail and hard work. He remembers how he himself is lazy, but Seishu inspires him to try harder. The following day, Naru once again visits Seishu only to find that he has collapsed. They take him to the hospital as he needs time to recover from exhaustion. There, all the villagers visit him, which makes him feel like he is starting to be part of this community. Later, an older patient comes to talk to him. When Seishu is released from the hospital, he is told that he was the only patient they have had in a long time. This makes everyone in the village theorize that Seishu might have spoken to a ghost. Naru goes around town asking people to see if she reads a milk cartoon correctly. She is very serious about learning. Meanwhile, Seishu calls back home to Tokyo to inform his agent that he has sent over some art. He is also out of black ink, so he makes his way down to the village store. There, he meets a kind old lady who owns the store. When he finally finds the ink, Tamako shows up also needing the ink. Seishu lets her buy it and decides to just use charcoal himself. While the two walk together, she tells him that she has been writing manga and wants to submit it to a magazine. Tamako gives him her manga samples and Seishu is shocked to find out that her manga drawings are extremely violent. The next day, Seishu gets a call revealing that he came second place in a calligraphy contest, and also finds out that he was placed behind a younger artist. This leads Seishu into a deep depression as he feels that his art is not improving. To cheer him up, Naru decides to take him to a mochi catching event in the village. Seishu agrees, but he isn't able to catch any. An older woman then explains that it's important to wait and seize the opportunities that are right in front of him instead of fighting for other chances. While he continues to work on his art, Seishu always thinks about the words of that old woman. He has to stop looking up and focus on the present and what is in front of him. Just as Seishu is about to find his inner peace, he gets mad about his phone and computer not working. Seishu makes his way once again to the village store to make a phone call to order new equipment. When he arrives, the old lady who owns the store shows him that they only have an old rotary phone. Seishu doesn't know how to use one of these phones, so Aki's younger brother has to guide him, which embarrasses him a lot. Later in the day, Miwa's father requests that Seishu paint a big phrase in the kanji style on his new boat. This phrase will be used as the boat's new name. Seishu wants to accept the offer, but he is anxious about messing up. When all the kids from the village put their handprints on the boat, Seishu can do his work and write the phrase. Seishu later thanks the boat's owner for giving him the opportunity to do his art. As the days go by, Seishu's house gets more and more filled with drawings. He works all day, but one thing that keeps him happy is the daily deliveries of konmen, his favorite food. Miwa, Tamako and Naru show up in the morning with a lot of homework. They want Seishu to help them with their homework and Naru wants to learn calligraphy. Seishu refuses at first, but then Naru brings him Konoman. Seishu decides to help them, but while they do homework they will also practice calligraphy. Later on, they all go to the beach and he tries to protect them so they don't get hurt, but because he is from Tokyo and has no experience he keeps slipping on the rocky beach. After their day at the beach they walk back home, and Seishu keeps talking to himself about safety and keeping the group out of harm's way. The children realize that he truly cares for them, so they hug him and promise to not worry him anymore. Elsewhere on the island, Seishu's agent arrives and brings a young calligraphy artist with him. Naru is standing in front of a store selling snails when a car pulls up right next to her. From the vehicle comes Takao, who is Seishu's agent and basically his only friend. He has brought Kasuke with him, who is a young prodigal calligrapher. Naru makes fun of Takao's tattoos and later both Takao and Kasuke get drunk in the village. Later on, Seishu is having a meal with Naru and Hiroshi. After dinner Hiroshi meets Miwa and they both figure out that Kasuke is the calligrapher who beat Seishu in that previous contest. They try to stop their meeting as they don't want to see Seishu get upset again. Seishu is grateful for their efforts, but he tells them that he has moved on from that whole situation. When Kasuke and Seishu meet, it is revealed that Kasuke idolizes Seishu and wants to be just like him. He also begs Seishu to return to Tokyo with them. He tells Seishu that his art seems to become much worse since he has come to the island. This upsets Seishu and sends him into a depressed spiral. Kasuke sleeps over with Hiroshi for their last night on the island. Seishu is lost and doesn't know what to do. He first came to the island to improve his art so that he can win more prizes, but now he just wants to write for himself. However, when Seishu sees Naru with her friend called Hina Kubota, he decides that he must stay on the island as this is where he's truly happy. In the morning, the whole group meets near the ocean for a fishing trip with Kawafuji and Kasuke. Hiroshi is angry that he had to spend an entire night with Kasuke, who doesn't stop talking about calligraphy. During the day the gang tries to fish, but a lot of them fail. Hiroshi really wants to catch a specific type of fish called the Hisanio fish. After a while he gives Kasuke his fishing rod. Suddenly a large fish gets caught by Kasuke and the group barely manages to help him get the fish to shore. When they take the fish out of the water it is revealed to be the Hisanio fish that Hiroshi wanted. Just then, the fish manages to escape and falls back into the ocean. The group bursts out laughing as the situation is totally ridiculous. The next day, Kawafuji and Kasuke leave the island and everyone comes to tell them goodbye. Seishu says farewell to his friend Kawafuji and decides that staying on the island is the best thing for him personally and for his art. Seishu continues working on improving his art, but is again interrupted when Tamako and Miwa show up. They tell him that Naru is celebrating her birthday soon, and since he is an adult they need 1,000 yen to throw the birthday party. Seishu spends the entire day trying to think of a gift for Naru but doesn't have any luck as he doesn't quite understand children. He tries catching a beetle as a gift but loses it to one of the village children. When he returns home, he sees that his entire house has been decorated with posters and there is a cake and all of Naru's friends. When Naru arrives she sees that a birthday party is waiting for her. They also gift her with a "I will do anything" gift card that is from Seishu. The following day, Naru takes Seishu to visit the graveyard and pay respects to her late grandmother. At first Seishu feels awkward for going to a graveyard but eventually accepts. When they reach the graveyard he realizes that today is the Bon festival and a lot of the villagers come here to pay their respects. Seishu realizes that while Naru is always cheerful and smiling she is also quite lonely. He then decides that whenever he has the time he will be there to take care of her so that she doesn't get lonely. Seishu has to write something for a special calligraphy contest, which is revealed to be the Naruka Institute contest. He has no new ideas and is stuck on what to draw. He decides to take a fresh bath and relax for a bit. He tries to fill the bath with hot water but then he realizes that the bath boiler is not working. Seishu then tries to prepare a hot bath with fire but then Tamako and Miwa mess around with it, making him angry. Later Hiroshi and Seishu find that kids from another village are harassing Naru and her friends. They decide to get involved and it turns into a real mess with everyone yelling at each other. Later the kids invite Seishu to play a Tarzan game with them in the woods and he accepts. While playing with the kids Seishu goes his own way onto a small mountain. There he sees a beautiful sunset and suddenly he feels inspired to draw. He runs back home but accidentally falls off a cliff. Naru and the kids all return home and wonder where Seishu ended up. After a couple of hours Seishu finds his way off the mountain and sees the beautiful night sky. While being scared for his life he sees a shooting star and wishes to live and be saved. Suddenly the villagers find and rescue him. Seishu calls Kawafuji to inform him that he has finished his submission for the Naruka Institute exhibit. The art piece says the word stars, as the inspiration came to Seishu while he was lost in the woods and saw the night sky. The director comes to visit Kawafuji and the two talk. The director expresses that it is time he forgives Seishu so that he returns. They also talk about how important it is that Seishu develops his true artistic style. Kawafuji later calls Seishu and tells him the good news. Seishu promises that he will soon return. Right after his decision, he starts to feel sad. The next day he attends a local village festival and he has so much fun. It is such a change from his life in Tokyo. Before, while he was doing calligraphy in the big city, he never had time to attend this type of event or even have fun. The group watches beautiful fireworks to finish up the festival. When the morning comes, Seishu packs his stuff early and leaves the village. He is unable to say goodbye to anyone as it hurts too much. Later in the day, Naru arrives in his house and finds it totally empty. Seishu makes his way back to his home in Tokyo. He returns to his daily habits of traveling by train and being in a tight formal suit. He starts to doubt if his new work is his style anymore. Kawafuji arranges for Seishu to meet the director he punched. Seishu also brings the star painting, which Kawafuji is impressed by. When the director arrives, Seishu is nervous, but he manages to apologize. The director forgives him and advises him to not act on impulse. When the director notices Seishu's art piece, Seishu goes into a panic and spills his drink all over the director and the painting. He tells the director that this was just a practice painting and that he already has another art piece for the exhibition. Kawafuji almost loses it from laughter. The director praises the star art piece and leaves. Seishu goes into panic mode as he has no other ideas and he just said that he had another project because he was nervous. Now he has to write something totally new. The next couple of days, Seishu retreats in his apartment. Kawafuji comes to visit his friend and finds him in a worse state than before. A bit later, the village calls Seishu and inspires him. They say they are angry at him for leaving the island and that he must return as soon as possible, which inspires Seishu. The next morning, he informs his friends that he has created another art piece, this one being called the Stone Wall. Seishu decides that he wants to return to the island and be with his friends. His mother and father see this and his mother seems to be very upset. She doesn't want him going back to that island as she thinks it's a bad influence on him and thinks he will become strange. Kawafuji brings Seishu a package from the village. Meanwhile, the villagers start cleaning Seishu's house as they believe he is returning soon. When Seishu opens the box, he finds several gifts and also a big box of calligraphy texts. This is from Miwa and Tamako. Both of them won awards for their calligraphy art. There is also some work from Naru. Seishu remembers all the teaching he did back on the island and laments the fact that he was supposed to be there to congratulate his students. When his mother realizes what kind of influence the island is having on her son, she decides to allow him to return there. Seishu makes his way back to the island, riding in the back of a farm truck just like the first time he arrived there. He sees the beautiful ocean and this time he appreciates it. When he returns, the whole gang of his friends await him. They have a celebration. Kawafuji also informs Seishu that his stone wall art piece won 5th place in the contest. Seishu is pleased by this. However, he doesn't care about silly prizes anymore but just doing what he loves and spending time with the people he cares about. Naru and Seishu sit together while the rest of his friends celebrate. The two talk and Seishu admits that now he only wants to create work he is passionate about, and that his friends are what matter most to him. These small and happy moments is what matters. It is then revealed that the stone wall art piece was a display of all the names from the island group, and in the center was Naris's name. And this brings the anime to an end. Comment if you would like a part 2. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss out on another video. Until next time, take care.